Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Oafdiscussions. I'm your host, Kid Swift. With me as always, Mr. Brent.
Doing it for the culture today.
Yeah.
Shayna.
Just be honest. All these girls look like a Build-A-Bay.
And Webb.
It looked like he died, and it was like, well, I don't care.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very lonely and depressing episode of Oafdiscussions. I'm your host for the evening, Mr. Webb, Thoroughbred Webb, however way you know me as. And with me today is actually nobody at this moment. Kid Swift, or Gary as you know him as. He is off documenting weddings in, I believe it was Philly. Well, I know he's out of state, regardless. Mr. Brent is out of town. He didn't mention what it was for, so I'm pretty sure it was something illegal. And Shayna is off doing motherly duties, if I'm not mistaken. And so here I am talking to myself in a manner which I can actually sit there and give an excuse, because can you hear that? People downstairs sitting there hammering and shit, playing basketball on the second floor, and all right, that's annoying. Anyway, this is the first time I actually get to talk on the microphone to myself, when normally I could just do this in the shower or in the car. So we'll enjoy that. Well, since I'm the only person here, I guess I could sit there and say how my week went. I didn't go to the Martin Luther King March, as I said I was going to in the last episode. I could blame it on the weather. I could sit there and blame it on... Actually, there's nothing I can blame it on. That was just all me. I just didn't feel like getting my ass up. As far as other stuff I ended up doing, it's almost always media related. So just messing with Injustice, messing with that new Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Was it DBFZ? Yeah, DBFZ. Messing with that. Also, watching this anime called Devilman Crybaby off of Netflix. It was 10 episodes, and I don't know what to make of that damn show. It's weird. I can't even know, I don't even know how to describe it for real. It involves demons fighting other demons and eating humans and this, that, and the other. And one person that's kind of part demon, part human, trying to save humans. And God, the show is so damn weird. I don't think I've ever seen so many animated titties in my life. I don't expect to at any time in the future, so there's that. This show is weird. It is so damn weird. It didn't start making sense until episode 8, and even then, how everything came together, I kind of get where they were going for as far as a actual plot. I didn't realize there was one until episode 8, and you have to see it for yourself. You may be turned off after the first episode. I almost was, but the fact that it's just, I wanted to figure out what exactly is going on with this show so bad that I stuck it out and watched it in about 2 days. I tried listening to Dave East for the first time. I've heard some good things about him. This mixtape or album that he just released last week called P2. One of the tracks that really stuck out with me was Corey. I'm definitely digging that one. I still got to finish the rest of the album. I'll probably say how the rest of that went next week with this new episode with the rest of the crew and go from there. Hopefully they'll be able to get a chance. Hopefully they'll be able to listen to it also. No need to fumble. I could probably edit this now that I think about it, since I'm the only person here and nobody would know either. Anyway, I could probably just talk for about, 15-30 minutes. I don't think I've ever talked to myself that long, but we'll see how that goes from there. All right, what else? Let's see. I didn't do the Martin Luther King March. Dave East, listen to that. Devilman. As far as, let's see, what else I did this week? I watched Black Lightning after The Flash, which I didn't realize either of those had came back or was premiering. And I didn't realize Black Lightning was going to come on if it wasn't for playing Injustice, and they had a little advertisement for it and everything. And I'm not going to lie, I had some low expectations for this show. And just from the fact that, that's kind of how I felt about Arrow when he first came out. And I was like, oh, get the fuck out of here. Green Arrow, nobody's checking for them. And then I ended up liking that, especially, and even loving the second season and just being hooked. But anyway, back to Black Lightning. I had some low expectations, and they far exceeded that. This was actually pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't too fond of the new costume that he has, where it's all glowing and this, that, and the other, compared to the costume that he had in the flashbacks and the security footage from however many years that he was supposed to be retired. I think it was like 9 or 10 years. The costume from the flashbacks look very much like it does in the comic books, especially with him, the newer iterations where he's bald. This version where his costume was glowing, the visor sit there and obscures his eyes, like you couldn't really tell who that was to begin with. Him having the afro, it's okay. I don't know if he's going to refine that later in the future episodes, especially since on the commercial all they would show was stuff from the first episode. I don't know. Hopefully he gets back to the older costume or something that looks a little better. His version of Cisco, I cannot remember his name, which is funny because I should have had this memorized, because the idea of them doing a Black Lightning show, I was kind of going like, yo, if Stephen Amell could sit there and work out and get into shape and get ready for playing Arrow, and Grant Gustin could sit there get in shape and get ready for Flash, you know, they might do a show for Black Lightning or Static Shock. I'm too old for Static Shock, but if they do Black Lightning, I'm in there. That was the main reason I started working out and eating the way I needed to and all that good stuff, to try to get ready for this audition that no one even knows exists. And once I found out that they were actually doing a Black Lightning show, I was like, yo, I'm in there. I'm good to go at this point. Not so much. When I found out they actually already had a cast and everything together, I was like, at least I just hope it'll be good. The next point about the show, the main villain, Tobias Whale, which is funny because in the comics that I recently purchased, which was Black Lightning Year 1, a few years back, Tobias Whale was supposed to be like this huge, basically like a albino version of Kingpin. It's kind of funny how they had an albino play this role rather than it be like a typical fat white guy or something like that. I guess they didn't want to go the route of Kingpin like for Daredevil, so that kind of works out and kind of added the uniqueness to them as well. I kept looking at Tobias Whale and I was trying to figure out who that actor was. It was like, he looks so familiar, but there ain't that many albino actors that I know of. Turns out he is Krondon, a rapper from the Strong Arm Steady crew. Used to be associated with Talib Kweli and all that good stuff. So it was kind of funny once I finally put two and two together. I was like, I know I've seen him before. And then here he is. Yeah, there he goes. I thought his very first scene where he was feeding a henchman that apparently failed him to some piranhas in his fish tank, I thought that was pretty well done. That was kind of wild that would be the first introduction. And as far as seeing somebody get killed, I don't care for his second in command. The dude kind of looks like Penguin from Gotham, and the female, I can't remember her damn face right just off the top of my head now. So hopefully they'll do away with those later on, or hopefully they'll sit there and become a bigger threat. We'll see how that goes. The best two parts that I gotta say about Black Lightning was the dialogue and the soundtrack. Now, the soundtrack was incredible. I was not expecting to hear Gil Scott-Heron on the CW, and here we are, so many revolutionary type tracks, 70s inspired, which is kind of funny on account of Black Lightning's older daughter being quote unquote woke. And like Shea Butter Twitter, I think somebody made a comment like that. I can't remember if it was on Twitter where somebody made that joke, or that was one of the people. Yeah, I think that was one of the bad guys that made that comment about her or about them. And the dialogue didn't feel forced for the most part. That was dope. It seemed like the writers actually put in a lot of effort to keep the black characters from sounding like just caricatures. They actually sounded authentic. They had this authenticity to it. And the social commentary wasn't laid on too thick or spread too heavy on the show. It was just the right amount of actual realness to the show. And I think that is definitely what made this feel a little less superhero-y. There was actually some gravity to it. There was actually some things that come across that you could relate to it, or if you're not familiar with that type of environment or that type of situations, you can kind of understand it at least. So overall, if there's trash, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, I'll give it a gold rating. I'll go from there. That's pretty much all I got to say about Black Lightning. I'll leave that alone there. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Let's do it, Monique. And let me read this article that we got from ABC, which was all over Twitter, all over Google. Okay, ABC News, this will be the best example, or the best one, the article to go off of. Let me go from the start, and this damn ads, I can't stand that. I didn't ask for you to sit there and start playing in my face. Get out of my face. All right, Oscar winner Monique wants fans to boycott Netflix for gender bias and color bias. I almost messed up right there and just said, boy, get that shit out of here. Anyway, Oscar winner Monique is encouraging her fans to boycott Netflix after she claims the streaming service offered her significantly less than other comedians for a forthcoming comedy special. The 50-year-old actress and longtime stand-up comedian took to Instagram to explain the reason for her boycott. I'm asking that you stand with me and boycott Netflix for gender bias and color bias, she began in a video posted Friday. I was offered a $500,000 deal last week to do a comedy special, Monique explained. However, Amy Schumer was offered $11 million, Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle $20 million. Then Amy Schumer went and renegotiated $2 more million because she said, I shouldn't get what the men are getting, they're legends. However, I should get more, and Netflix agreed. Last August, Schumer took to Instagram to clarify a report that she was demanding equal pay to Rock and Chappelle. The comedian wrote, I believe women deserve equal pay. However, I don't believe I deserve equal pay to Chris and Dave. They are legends and two of the greatest comics of all time. Now, I do think we said something about this earlier on a previous podcast, but regardless, I mean, yeah, there's no fucking way Amy's getting Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle money. That's, you out of your fucking mind for that. And I'm glad she acknowledged that and agreed with that. Okay. Monique went on to say that she and her team asked Netflix to explain the difference between her and Schumer. The comedian also asked the streaming service to consider her resume, and Monique said it replied? We don't go off of resumes. When pressed, according to Monique, Netflix replied that because Schumer, 36, sold out New York City's Madison Square Garden twice and had written and starred in Trainwreck, she was offered more money. Is that not Amy Schumer's resume? And then Netflix said, by the way, we believe Monique is a legend too. The pressure star added, why shouldn't I get what the legends are getting? Please stand with me in this boycott of Netflix, she concluded. I love us for real. Now, there's two arguments that have been made on social media about this. And this definitely goes into the category of outraged as fuck. The other meaning of Oafdiscussions. So here we are. There are some that sit there and agree. It was like, oh yeah, she definitely should be getting more money than Amy Schumer, or at least as much as Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. She's a legend. Now, all right, fuck it. I'm the only person that has an opinion because I'm the only person speaking. So it is what it is. Now, for $500K, that doesn't seem insulting to me because I've never seen $500K before. I can't even sit there and act like that's chump change or this, that, and the other. But compared to, when you look at this compared to $11 million or $20 million, I could see that. Now, the only people that should be insulted by this $500,000 offer should be Monique and her representatives that weren't able to make a better deal for her. That's entirely up to between Monique and Netflix and her representatives to talk that out, hash that out, this, that, and the other. As far as, going off on social media about not being able to meet an agreement, I've never seen that as a good business practice from all the people that I see on Instagram or social media, like entrepreneurs and this, that, and the other. That never really comes across as a good thing. Unless she's trying to stir up controversy to add more leverage, I could probably see that. So, I just talked myself out of a point I was making. Anyway, biggest complaint brought up was how Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle both made $20 million and Amy Schumer made $11 million. And honestly, that's kind of more of a in-demand type of deal, it seemed like. I mean, Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, of course you're going to sit there and give them $20 million. Now, with Amy Schumer, that could kind of be argued. I could see some complaints about her on account of a lot of people viewing her as trash. But the fact of the matter is, it's kind of along the lines of people really hate Dane Cook, but he was able to put up numbers like he did. With Amy Schumer, a lot of people think she's trash. A lot of people don't think of her as funny, but she's able to put up numbers the way she did. As far as Monique, when was the last comedy special she had? Because they were just talking about Netflix having Netflix actually has a 2006 comedy special for her. Already on file. Monique, it could have been your cellmate. And for them to already have a special for her on Netflix, and for them to offer her a, I guess, paltry amount of money. Does that speak to the numbers that her 2006 special is doing? Does that speak to the relevance that she has as a comedian? And people are sitting there going like, oh, but she's an Oscar winner. She should be getting more money. She didn't win an Oscar for stand-up. She won an Oscar for a role she played in a movie for Best Supporting Actress. It wasn't for comedy. That part doesn't really make sense as far as putting that up against the offer she got for a stand-up special. That could just be me. If you disagree, by all means, tweet it out or just let me know in the comment section. We'll go from there. Let's see. I don't really have too much. I would have thought I had more comments to talk about. Oh, okay. Never mind Ja Rule. Tom Hardy had a mixtape out back in, how long ago was this? Back in the 90s. Let me pull that back up. Tom Hardy mixtape. Oh, wow. That wasn't even the first thing that came up. Tom Hardy mixed martial arts was the first thing that came up. Okay. Tom Hardy made a hip-hop mixtape in the 90s, and it's actually pretty dope according to Huffington Post, so now I know it's not true. And let's see what this sounds like. Since I got the link over here, let me go ahead and give it a listen, see what this was talking about. Okay, came out in 1999, and it was called Falling on Your Arse. Really? 18-track Falling on Your Arse in 1999. Okay, link below. All right, let's see what this is about. Yeah, okay. Nope, we're not doing this. All right. That's all for today. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Oafdiscussions. Sorry I wasn't able to bring everyone, or sorry that everyone could not attend for this episode. We will be back next week with more than one person, hopefully. As always, if you liked or disliked what we said, or there's no we at this part, what I said, by all means, voice your opinions in the comment section. Tweet about us at Oafdiscussions. Instagram, Oafdiscussions, Oafdiscussions.com, YouTube, Oafdiscussions. Or if you want to send an email, the word's not on Front Street, by all means, reach out to us at Oafdiscussions@gmail.com. My username is Webb859 on Twitter, Webb.859 on Instagram. Reach out to Gary on KN Kid Swift, Brent at LLCoolB22, Shayna at ShaynaNB, Jacob at, he'll tell you his, well, it's been a while since he's been on here in a while. We'll provide the link for him anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been all for Oafdiscussions. Thank you for your time and patience. Y'all have a good night. Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been Oafdiscussions. Please listen to us on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play now, Stitcher, audio episodes on YouTube as well. And so that's all we have today. Thank you very much for listening, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
Appreciate it. Peace.
There we are. Oafdiscussions pioneers.
Quickly
confirmed.
Make the meme and then put the big thing on there with the stupid little graphic like every other goddamn internet comedian does. We got to get these views, baby.